So today we'll study the structure of a muscle spindle. Muscle spindle is a sensory organ present in muscle. So this is a muscle which consists of muscle spindle, which is a sensory organ. So what does this muscle spindle consist of? So let's study it in detail. Muscle spindle consists of this intrafusal fiber. This is a intrafusal fiber which consists of two polar ends which are contractile and a central region which is dilated in this figure but can be non-dilated, which is non-contractile. So let us study in more detail. So what we studied, muscle spindle consists of an intrafusal fibers. It consists of intrafusal fibers. There are types of intrafusal fibers. Apart from the intrafusal fibers, it consists of two other important parts: the efferents and the efferents. The efferents to the muscle spindle are the motor fibers to the contractile polar ends, and the efferents from taking information from the efferents to CNS. So we have three parts of a muscle spindle: the intrafusal fibers, the efferents, and the afferents. Let's study them one by one. The intrafusal fibers. The intrafusal fibers are of two types: the nuclear back fibers and the nuclear chain fibers. So this fiber with the dilated region in between is a nuclear back fibers, and the other slender fibers, thin fibers without the dilated region, are nuclear chain fibers. So in more detail, nuclear back fibers are further of two types: the dynamic nuclear back fibers and static nuclear back fibers. So for representation, I am shading this dynamic nuclear back fibers with a yellow color. So this one is the dynamic nuclear back fibers, this is the static nuclear back fibers, and these four are the nuclear chain fibers. So this was about the intrafusal fibers. Let's see the efferents. Efferents are the fibers that take the sensory information of proprioception to the CNS, and these efferents are of two types: the 1A fibers and the 2 fibers. The 1A fibers, as shown in this diagram, innervates all the fibers: the dynamic nuclear back fibers, the static nuclear back fibers, the nuclear chain fibers, all. This was about the 1A. Now the 2. The two types of fibers are supplying the static nuclear back fibers, the nuclear chain fibers, but not the dynamic nuclear back fiber. So to summarize, we have two types of efferents, the 1A and the 2 types of fibers. The 1A innervates all the fibers, and the 2 types of fibers innervates all except the dynamic nuclear back fibers. No efferents from the dynamic back fibers. Now let's talk about the efferents. Efferents are the gamma gamma motor fibers. These are motor fibers to the contractile portion of the intrafusal fibers, and these are also of two types, the static and the dynamic. The dynamic gamma motor neurons supply only dynamic nuclear back fiber, uh, while static supply the static nuclear back fibers, the nuclear chain fibers. So they are mutually exclusive, we can see. So this was about the muscle spindle.